No, you can't see me that well. I don't care. The essence of every conspiracy, the essence of every plot, the essence of a controlling faction in any sort is always to undercut the potential of a good hearted, strong man. And you can see it however you want to see it. It's not going to change it. It's just that we're we're perceiving the world. I'm not saying this because I'm a man. We're perceiving the world based on our resonance. We all live in our own world. So if someone is um, off put by that, it's okay. It's just you're seeing the reflection of the boundaries of your own world, and I suggest that you expand your belief structure. But it's very difficult for women to see things through men's perspectives. Grandmothers can to a certain degree, especially grandmothers that have had boys. More than one boy. They become forged with wisdom, a balanced wisdom, an empirical emperor and empress middle path wisdom. They can see it from both sides. So old ladies should really choose the leaders, and the leaders should be true, genuine hearted men. That's how it should be. That's it. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks or feels. If you sit with it, that's how it should be. It's not about alpha and beta and sigma. It's about somebody who's can find the courage inside them to fight to the death and die for others. Somebody who's capable of saying the truth to others when it's incredibly fucking uncomfortable. Someone who will rise to the occasion, the internal fear and the external fear, and slowly be cut by that until they are no longer hurt by it and they can show others the way by being gentle through the scarring of their life. Because this place is dense. And that is the path of a man in density. That is what happens with a grandfather. If he lived if he lived a life and he really shined his own light, if he really went down the path that he was meant to go down, he's going to be scarred. And if he kept going and didn't hide in the little boxes of his scars, he just grew past the scars. And he just kept going. And the little grandkids were like, "What's that scar from? What's that scar from?" He's like, "I don't even really remember, but I can teach you the lessons from them." Then he becomes gentle. And that scarred internal hero that has found the gentleness to guide others and not fucking flinch. That is what every conspiracy is attempting to undercut. Trying to get somebody else to paint that thing as a threat, that thing as foolish, that thing as a problem. Doesn't matter if it's black, Asian, white, whatever, South American, it doesn't matter. It's always the same thing. The takeover of some other country through intelligence agencies, the ridiculous, absurd, holy rebuilding of Solomon's third temple, the Middle East plot, the whatever, speaking, I guess, anything that's ooey. It doesn't matter. Anything that's a banking family, anything that's Knights Templar, anything that's aliens or whatever, Enki Enlil, it doesn't matter. The potential is that a great spirit, divine limitless spirit energy, grows into a man that is scarred and then grows into true wisdom as an oak, and then has the ability to protect and guide others in the proper direction, in which the forge of the family and the forge of the community is stronger than any bullshit conspiracy. So you have to take that fucking thing out. That's it. It's not about moms. It's not about kids. It's not about schools. It's about taking that thing. And then once you take that thing, you have the opportunity to undercut all the stuff. I don't even care about this stuff anymore. It's so obvious for hundreds and hundreds of years. It might sound like I'm tight about it. I'm not really. Just had a little bit of coffee. But I felt pulled to clarify. Everything, if you watch very closely, everything in life is an offer to a woman. Everything. Every move, every thought, every poem, every movie, all programming, all intelligence agency manipulation, the fucking news, everything, everything, every flower, every promise, every hope, every dream, it's all an offering to a woman of some sort, somewhere, in some way. Physically, family, spiritually. And in the family unit, regardless of culture, at the core essence, the man's power lies in making moves. And the woman's family, the woman's power in the family unit, the woman's power lies in learning to choose. This isn't a man's the head of the household or stand by me or I'm first, I'm second. None of that. Most of the things that people get from those perspectives are Judaic or Kabbalic or biblical or pre that, and basically all of it's talking about the essence of the Hermetic principles and mind and sit at the right hand of God, which is, you know, it's talking about you and you and how you function, the feminine energy of you. It's not talking about oppressing wives. I'm not into any of that shit. I'm not into anything that's in any way suppressive or putting a mind box or a control mechanism in anything. The entire purpose of my life is to shine my light and remove the filters of control from other folks so that they can begin to blossom and grow. But it is of such great requirement for men and women to begin to have a reverence for a great, spiritually centered, strong, scarred man. Because that man that is capable of inflicting and receiving violence and standing or leaving his body in a violent disembodiment, a spirit leaving the body, a death, even though there is no death, merely opportunities before. That man is willing to rise to those opportunities. And there's a mental tornado that everyone seems to have been accepting through chemical imbalance and screen and propaganda and programming and the collective unconscious for a long, long time. Everybody feels like it's just their lifetime, in which there's these subtle acceptations of slightly adjusting it and having good reason to slightly adjust it based on a new argument of what's better for the kids, what's better for the wife, what's better for. And the more that happens, the more there's a, a great adaptation by these incredibly patient and gentle and ferociously strong men to either walk away or to stand firm or to take care of others, not take from others, but take care of others, even in their erroneous ways. And it's that thing that is constantly pulled down to the point where no one even looks at it with reverence anymore. Not, well, little kids still do, but most folks don't look at it with reverence anymore. They look at it as it's just the same as everybody else. It's not the same. It's not the same. Go sit next to a bull elephant and tell me that's the same as the other elephants. The other elephants know it's not the same. Go sit next to a bull alligator and tell me that's the same as the other alligators. The other alligators know it's not the same. Go sit next to a fucking silverback and see how the other gorillas act toward it. Reverence, and it provides reverence back. How are you going to have reverence without that great, fierce, courageous, masculine that has lost the fear of its own death and is truly aware of itself as the one that isn't preaching about it? That courage is also that gentleness. I mean, isn't that what the embodiment of what's considered to be Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha? Isn't that what it is? Isn't it that I can do and I can also do? Not flinching at the program, at the money changers, not scared of the propaganda, the patience to allow others to grow in their own timeline. But not everyone, but most in the social orders, especially Western culture, have put their attention without realizing how great and powerful they are, put their attention on everything but that slow guidance of that great masculine. And again, that great masculine, to a certain degree, should be anointed or chosen or at least respected by the older women. But in our age, a lot of the older women, I'm 42, so I'm just at the place where those that are considered to be much older, probably in their 80s and beyond, I think still have it. But 70s and less, they received a lot of propaganda. A lot. I'm not talking about church or feminism I mean, just the lifestyle and the life cycle of living within a constant information feeding mechanism into the collective unconscious that they've not realized they've had to deal with, and to get along with their friends and get along with life, and they've had to make concessions of how things are. And so it's rare to find multiple women that comprehend the subject. I probably haven't ever even said it before. It's not that big of a deal to me, but I'm just doing my best to make it clear. It's not foggy. It's not a bunch of different things. It doesn't matter if it's a political perspective, which is erroneous, or a humanity salvation perspective, or a money perspective, or religious, or uh, changes of the ages. Doesn't matter. There is a requirement for very strong, centered, middle path, courageous men to step forward and to remain gentle in the face of death. That's the requirement. And it's at the exact same time, step one in every nefarious conspiracy. Because conspiracy just means a plan. But every nefarious plan, which I'm not worried about any of the plans, because this life is an allegory and it's reflecting you to you. It's all about your spiritual growth in this time between times, and in this former time. There's a requirement for what would be considered the antithesis, or the antagonist, or the bad guy, or the Khazarians, or whatever, right? The Enlo. But that those things flip back and forth constantly. It's not fixed. It's not that there's one bad guy and he keeps the same form and his name is Satan. It's the same forever. It's not it. It's not it. There's more to it. If you see that, then just expand your belief structure and keep going. But what I'm giving you now is, if you look at it this way, I know it's how I can see it in my world. But if you look at it in this manner, I've seen the same exact allegory, the same exact storyline in everything forever. And I found it here, just in the heart is where you find everything. And if it doesn't drive from your heart, you should go back into your heart and ask and see if it's actually true. Because most stuff is just information coming in to your mind, your small mind, and which deflects you from even getting to the place of starting with your heart. Your heart is the prism of your soul. So start with your heart. Ask what is true. I found that in every scenario, every story, always, is the man who's conquered himself that is the greatest threat to those that represent, as this life is a performance of your spiritual growth, those that represent the death cult of inferiority in whatever form. It's a potion that appears in human form, in any human form. There's less than 1% here that are written and ordained to shine their light. And there's the same amount on the other side that are written and ordained to close the blinds. And almost everybody's in the middle. And your story is written in the themes, and it's up to you to then go inside yourself, really, really, truly be courageous enough to ask, how honest am I? How much can I find? Begin to search yourself and then perceive in this world. Get off the fucking screens. Start with your heart and then write your own story. I suggest you write a story that's closer to shining your own light and closing your blinds. But most all have adapted to closing their own blinds, because only middling themselves allowed them to have more friends and not be ostracized from their social orders. So, to make everyone else comfortable, they middle themselves, who's already unknowingly and unconsciously making everyone else around them comfortable to fit in and not be kicked out from their tribe, which is controlled through a program that's not for its own best interest, which means it's not for the individual's best interest, to constantly middle themselves. Always. And middling yourself is the perfect way to avoid your own greatness, which means not shine your own light, which means at the moment of leaving your body in death, did I do what I came here to do? No, you didn't. But you know who did? Those old women who balanced themselves and found the middle path and raised sons, and those sons who became scarred and took incredibly unfair lumps, and then eventually found in themselves the courage to ask, well, what the fuck is going on? How does this place? I see the bad guy now. How does this place really work? It's not. It's not as simple as just one one. There's something behind each one. What is a number anyway? Where'd that come from? The fuck is going on? And you keep pulling it back, and you go inside yourself. And if you find the ability within your heart to sit and close off the character, you will see that you are the aware energy. And when you see that you're the aware energy, right there, you have the opportunity to start life. And for a lot of folks, that's why there's a saying, life starts at 40. Your south node flips to your north node, or there's the opportunity for it. And that's astrology. And the self that has been written and programmed has been serving a scenario of learning and growing, and now it's ready to blossom. It's like a seed that had to be dormant for somewhere between 30 and 50 years, depending on maybe past lives or current life experience or environment or unique traumas or mostly your own choices. But we don't realize the weight of our own choices. And so that great man begins to realize this, begins to realize the weight of his own choices, begins to make less choices and be more effective with every choice and every word. And it's a forever process. But he's the only judge of himself. All gods are within him. All deity is all energy. He realizes what he is and what he is. He realizes that his life is the serf. And he's the last one that anyone would ever want to fight. And so no one will ever fight him one-on-one. No one will ever fight him fair. And so there's little plots in life. Little plots by fat rats trying to feed off the energy of everything else. And those that can carry the most have the widest shoulders. Their backs are corded steel by carrying the weight of the world. And a lot of that weight has been passed on to women because men have been undercut so drastically that society basically has been raising little boys and little girls for a long time. And now men and women both get, honestly, genuinely pretty fucking stupid jobs to just work away and work away and work away, not knowing what's going on. But I'm not one of them. I'm one of the, I'm the one of the ones that are here to shine their light. This isn't about me though, it's about every man. I'm not saying quit your job. I'm not saying a revolution because that just takes everybody back to the same place. I'm not saying anything about government because government is just a, a one-way mirror. It's a barrier presenting itself as if it's the thing, but really all it is just a protection mechanism for those that are on the other side of it. Government is an illusion. All governments have some groups on the other side of it. Any plot, if you really, really genuinely look at it, only functions to either boost up or cut down that incredibly unique stage of a man in which he's gone past the scarring into the awareness of what's actually occurring and found the gentleness to guide those around him. And very rarely is it boosting up. So maybe that's what's required. Maybe create plots, create conspiracies to boost up those men in private. To just with, because everything in life is operating off of divine attention. The strongest thing that anyone can ever do is place their attention upon something. And if you look, humans in general are mostly just moving stuff around and making noise. So what you place your attention on grows. If you begin to place your attention in reverence to these extremely unique men who have gone through this very odd struggle of social orders, and they found some great truths in there, and they found gentleness in the calm of the white squall, the storm. Now that's been a battle for them. And if they did that, then others around them should treat them with the reverence and the peace and learn from them before they leave their body. That's the requirement, is to learn, listen. But what's happened is that more often than not, those strong men end up saying less and less and less the older they get. And so they make less and less of an impact with their actions, but they have a huge impact just with their aura, which is wonderful. But think about how strong and how well defined and how well equipped social orders would be, or communities would be, if they were forged and created by these strong men. And I surmise that this is exactly the functionality in quite a few social orders that are playing the other side, this side, the closing the blinds. The closing the blinds requires those strong forces, those strong men, maybe strong women, I'm sure. But it's these older center path individuals on both sides. It's just that this side has been doing it for quite a while, and many in the middle are leaning towards this side, like waking up supposedly. But they keep looking for another bad guy, another bad guy, another bad guy. Look what they're doing to us. If they had that grandpa, that father, that husband, that boyfriend that already knew and was already quiet about it and was not scared and found the gentleness and could guide them, it would be a very commonplace and normal interaction. Instead, it's just a mechanism of fear, 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 fear. And that fear actually pulls them back closer to this thing. That's how this thing controls, is through repetition programming of fear. Fear ain't it. You must face your fears, allow them to be, and grow. You must forgive. That's the thing nobody wants to do. But that's the thing that everybody will find. You must forgive everything, everyone, and yourself, because you are much more than the character you're playing. But do not live this life and think that you're just this character. You're here to remember who you are. You're greater than this character, and then live as the embodiment of this character to impress your greater self, to do things that your greater self didn't expect, to write story upon and above your themes that are already written, that will blow them all away. That will never happen without the reverence for the great men. If you start to look at every conspiracy, every story, every plot, if there's somebody that is standing in the way for anything, it's usually a great man of wisdom and patience. And then there's some type of story that's concocted or some assassination in which he becomes the problem or the catalyst. Who's telling the lies? It's time for these to start guiding others and building communities in which they explain to their wives, their grandmothers, their kids, those in their neighborhoods, explain to them why there are even lies. Think about it. Why does our society so easily accept lying? It's like we're indoctrinated with lying from every holiday to every social interaction. So our parents and our schools, our social orders are constantly whispering, you're not supposed to lie, but you're not supposed to tell the truth either. So they slowly, slowly, slowly grow in a manner that, excuse me, protects lying more than it protects the truth. And then, after only a few years, by the age of 12 or so, it becomes uncomfortable to even tell the truth. You can't even tell the full truth to your friends. You can tell a little bit of it, but everybody is so incredibly broken and fearful, living in tiny little mind boxes of, I'm not enough, so you can't be enough. Who do you think you are? We're all middling ourselves to make everyone else comfortable to middling themselves. We're all getting smaller and smaller. We're all slowly being oppressed, learning to be the least common denominator. We're all not worthy. This place is big and we're small. We're just lemmings. Make the best of it while you're here. Watch the screen. Eat poison. Don't do anything. And it's that mentality of those kids that grow into the next generation that don't have the power within them to stand up and provide reverence and provide their divine attention to those great men. So those great men are isolated. They're by themselves. And they either try to communicate it or they go off by themselves and turn into a lone wolf. It's time. This place is magical. It's reflecting back to you what it is that's inside you. Watch what you see on the screen, in the trees, in your animals. How life is treating you is how you're treating yourself. Find extremely well appointed middle path, strong, scarred, gentle men, and listen to them. Not that every single thing they ever say is exactly right, but they will have seen more and can guide you more and attempt to get them to pull what's truly inside themselves out because they've been suppressed too. Everyone's been taught don't say shit, don't do shit. Yeah, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, and just wait. Don't truly be the real you yet. It's time to be the real you. If you want to build a greater life, take the great gamble inside you and look at other great men and thank them with your attention. Provide your divine attention to them and listen to them. It will probably be awkward because everyone's been trained to just kind of be quiet, stay in their place. But listen to them. Ask them what they think should be done and then start putting it together. The more great men in one room together, it might take hours and hours, but the more truth will eventually spill out in front of everyone. And it's probably not the first one to speak, which will be the most profound. But plots are built behind the scenes, behind walls, and they seep into your home, they seep into your mind, and they get you to forego starting with your heart. They get you to forget who you really are. Create your own plot. Find those great grandmothers. Ask them who the great men are. Find great men around you. Curate your own existence. Create your own community. Stop listening to things that your heart says is not good for you. Start telling others that's not good for you. Whatever you allow in your community, you're allowing into your next generation. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable with anyone else. Plato's cave, everyone's uncomfortable, so nobody wants to point it out. Let's just get along. But while everyone's attempting to get along, they're being oppressed and suppressed and oppressed and suppressed. And the great men decide to, no, I'm not doing it. Usually they don't scream. They might have a few outbursts, but for the most part, they end up stepping away. And everybody says something about them. They're not one of us. They're not one of you. They're not supposed to be. It was written for them to come here and grow into a silverback and lead patiently. So provide reverence for that thing, because that thing is the actual only threat. The only threat to all conspiracies and all plots to control you. Doesn't matter if I'm talking to myself or a man or a woman or a kid, ever. If I'll ever say this, it doesn't matter. There is no way to control a community without first controlling the greatness of men that have adapted themselves into a state of awareness, to a state of courage in which they no longer flinch at fear, and to a state of gentleness in which they can guide others. If you don't cut that thing out, the tribe, the community will remain strong. The second you undercut it in the eyes of others or in its own existence, send them to war. Then it's just natural that everyone will look for their own way. So these social orders provide another avenue right away. Women, you can spend your entire life trying to get money. You deserve it. boys and girls, you can be anything you want to be. Here's 4 avenues for you to do whatever you want, but make sure you serve the machine. That's your first role. Grow up and serve the machine. What do you want to be when you grow up? Fireman, policeman, engineer, doctor, lawyer. Where'd those ideas come from? Multiple choice test that life gave me. What do you mean by life? Not the flow of God and love. I mean school, authority. What is authority? We used to think it was a natural process of a man that grew himself into a pillar and guided and took care of others and was a grandfather oak of reverence. But now we just think it's whoever is giving orders to the police. And that must be politicians. That's weird because politicians are kind of slimy and they give orders to police. But no, it's whoever gives orders to the politicians. But that's weird because that's lobbyists. That just means people who make shady deals and are in cahoots working for Wall Street bankers. But Wall Street is it's just MI6 and the CIA and intelligence agencies, and intelligence agencies just come from banking families, and that runs back to great manipulations from Venice to Persia or whatever. Yeah, but you're not taking into effect West Penrod, Enki and Enlil. It's about fucking you. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't about you. Fuck 'em. The more energy you place into these boxes of offerings, like everything is offering to a woman, it's also the manipulations of everything is offering to a woman. These plots, these conspiracies, they're being offered. The more energy, you are divine limitless spirit energy, the more energy you place on them, the more you see of them, the more you feed them, the more they are entrenched in your life and the life of those around you. And you're seeing actual real control and effect in your life, but you're forgetting that it's all the reflection of the power of you. And most, I don't care who they are, most that I've seen that are talking about enlightenment or talking about conspiracy or talking about the new age technology or free energy or whatever, they have one foot in both sides. What you place your attention on grows. Stop paying attention to that shit. Middle path, pay attention to great men. And if there's no great men around you, find a good man and grow him into a great man. What great men need is respect and support. And gentleness when they're going up the mountain and gentleness when they fall down. And that's fucking it. That's from their father, from their mother, from their cousins, from their wife and their kids. They don't need much because they're going to learn to build it within themselves. But that's the whole plot, is to keep undercutting them at every stage constantly. So eventually they're a shell of themselves when there's nothing wrong with them to begin with. They're just playing a fool's game. Instead of being the tarot fool, they're playing somebody else's game. Eventually, that tarot fool realizes, I'm not playing that game anymore. I'm growing. I'm growing past it. I'm slowly growing into the emperor. And all of this benefits the true feminine nature. All this is in true support and reverence for women and love and the divine feminine, which is the energy of everything. But this place requires the leadership of extremely genuine, gentle, courageous men. They deserve your support. They deserve your respect. They deserve your gentleness. What you place your attention on grows. Place your attention on them and they'll give it back to you. And that will be the greatest feeling you ever have. Think about what it feels like to get the attention, which only comes every once in a while, but of the bull elephant. When you're just a little elephant walking in line, and the bull elephant is talking to you or guiding you. It's different. It's different than the mom. It's different than the grandma or the cousins. It's all great, but when the bull elephant is giving you attention, it's different. It's supposed to be different. It's a requirement. As soon as that bull elephant or any other bull elephants are no longer in that, I forget what the elephant tribe is called. As soon as it's not in that grouping anymore, that family is in a tough spot. And yes, women can stand up and toughen up. Yeah. But be honest. Be real honest. There's a natural process. Man must have the environment to grow himself properly. And this hasn't been the proper environment for a long time. So a lot of men separate themselves from it. Those men may come back or may create things to lead others. Those men will always support the women. But in this time, I feel not much more room for flinching. It's a psychosis that develops from kids and women having to do life with all the things that you have to do, all the daily chores and the responsibilities, and the making of lunches or the telling of jokes or the having friends, whatever, and also perceive the intricacies of what's going on with society, what's going on with spirituality, what's going on with who you are and what this place is, and then what are the psychological or the spiritual or the ramifications of social threats. That's not really their job. Their job is to learn from those around them, and it's been undercut. So I don't expect boys and girls and most men that have grown up in the social order and most women to comprehend this. But if you're looking for absolute greatness, absolute excellence, the requirement, said a couple of times, is going to be that there's a community with a great man and probably many great men. Eventually, that will grow into a community with old women pointing out how to become a great man. It has to be self built. Everything is a self serving loop. Build communities that provide reverence for great men that are going through that middle path growth, and you will receive it back thousandfold. That's where you receive true safety, true wisdom, true love. That's what gives you the opportunity to sit with and actually become and blossom into your real self, regardless of who you are. For most folks, this life has just become a constant movement. And if they're real honest, they're not sure where they're going. If you sit with a great man, he will easily be able to point to you where you see within yourself where your next step is. Not to manipulate you, but that you can find it within yourself. It's already there. A great man, when you sit next to him, you calm down. A great man, honestly, should feel exactly opposite of how society has felt in the United States for the last 25 years. And a great man lives to serve those that provide reverence to him, strangers that he doesn't know. They're good hearted. His ancestors, his descendants, his body, his wife, his kids, his friends, their kids, nature. Love. He's just the flow of energy. And he's showing others how to be. And there is a force that is just playing its part here. But there is a force that's attempting to take that out of your lives. And has done a pretty damn good job of it. Everybody has the power within themselves to provide more and more attention to great men. That's how you slowly take control of your life. You start with your heart, you take control of yourself, but then by building community, you pay attention to great men. And you will see that great women are just naturally around them. Nobody's trying to be anything that they're not. Everyone is slowly growing up. I love you. Primum Voltus Interiorum.